Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome. Hello, wherever you are. I see that Angelo is in Punta Cana, having a very busy day with excursions and then doing zip lines this afternoon, horseback riding lazy river. And then ATV and cenotes in the morning. This is a guy who doesn't sit still, clearly. Secrets Tides in Punta Cana is where he is at right now. So, of course, I've asked how it is going. I'm curious about that. I wish I had been a bit more organized. It would have been good to try to coordinate with him to have him come live for us here. But maybe we can work something out next week. I think Punta Cana is like 4 hours time difference current. I'm Punta Cana. Let's see. 4 hours from compared to Pacific time. And we've obviously just done the time change. I'm not a fan. Personally, I would be quite happy to stay on daylight savings time year round. But we'll see. I didn't do the topics for the left-hand side like I had previously done. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you find it useful to have all the topics that I'm going to cover on the left-hand side? It's sort of like those sports channels where they kind of show you what's coming up, and then the list of topics keeps moving up. So, I guess it kind of keeps it on track so you can see what topics are coming up. Good afternoon, Bojangles. How are you? So let me know what you think. Jot down in the comments below. Do you prefer to have the topics listed as I go through them, or are you happy for me just to wing it? I do find that when I have the topics there that I'm looking more at my screen as opposed to looking at you, the camera. So I think this is a little bit more interactive, but I could also alternatively have a ticker along the bottom that kind of says what topics are going to be coming up. But I did put it in the description. So we've got a few things we're going to talk about. The weekly topic of Hyatt Vivid. Huge bombshell was dropped yesterday, day before. So, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the torrential rain that is hitting Barcelona in this past week or so, Hurricane Rafael, and also Travel Tuesday and some potential deals that might be happening with that. So, Angelo, if you have joined us back from your lunch, let us know what you think of the Secrets Tides in Punta Cana. I am curious to hear what you think of that resort. And just FYI, I'm also doing a course on doing videos and stuff like that with the great Trevor Jones. So I'm going to be changing out my studio a little bit. So watch for some changes with that. Hopefully we'll get a little bit better sound quality and also audio quality. And the best part is hopefully there will be a lot less random rambling. I like to do. So yeah, a little bit more concise, a little bit more to the point. Also I ideally won't forget to bring up topics I just did my review of the Hyatt Vivid. Hopefully you've watched that. If not, please check it out. You will note that I very clearly state in there that I do not believe the rumors to be true or the speculation to be true about the rooftop pool being changed to Vantage Club. Yeah, I was wrong. Wrong on that one. That was the bombshell that dropped yesterday. They announced that effective November 15th, that the rooftop pool will be for Vantage Club guests only. So naturally, Facebook went, and a lot of people abruptly canceled. A lot of people threatened to cancel unless the hotel would do right by them. And there was also a lot of people who had watched my videos and did see the value in Vantage Club. And that's what they went for, wanting the higher room, the better views, the Mediterranean restaurant for breakfast, and also access to the Vantage Club lounge. So a lot of people did book that. And so for them, I suppose you could consider this an added benefit. I mean, the rooftop area wasn't huge. The pool is 295 feet long. It's the biggest one in all of Cancun, maybe even all of Mexico. But other than, having the, you get some upgraded amenities in the room. To me, that's kind of not a huge thing. You've got access to the preferred, the Vantage Club lounge. Okay, that's an improvement because you've got the higher quality alcohol, that kind of thing. The Mediterranean restaurant for breakfast. I mean, I like that once in a while to have a sit-down meal, especially if it's kind of a rainy day. Like, it's just a throwback to the days of COVID. Like, there was no, let's make a quick 5-minute meal, because what else are you can do with the rest of your day? Like, you kind of want some things to, be a bit more leisurely and take up a little bit more time. So yeah, I mean, but other than those 2 things or 3 things, there wasn't a whole huge amount of value in upgrading to Vantage Club. So I can understand that now with the rooftop pool and bar area being for Vantage Club guests only, that does obviously bring a lot more value for Vantage Club. But it was just, the way it was initially worded, it was that if you weren't Vantage Club, you wouldn't be allowed up there. And that had people freaking out because they were worried about, they'd already booked. And when they'd booked at that time, nothing had ever been stated by anybody that the rooftop pool was going to become Vantage Club. Good morning, Angela. How are you? Now, what they've clarified today, so just within a day, within less than 24 hours of this announcement coming out, what people have posted management responses. So they've sent in emails to the resort, and they are they've been getting responses from management that are basically saying that all bookings made after November 15th would have, these new rules would apply. So if you are booked now and you are going to Hyatt Vivid and you are not Vantage Club, you will still be able to use the rooftop pool according to today's information. You won't necessarily have the Vantage Club perks. So they're going to have a pool concierge. They're going to have premium bottle service. So you won't have access to that, but you will still be able to go up there and enjoy the pool. So that, I think, was a relief to a lot of people, because the concern was if you book something that says this is all included, and then all of a sudden they decide, no, we're going to change, and now all this isn't included, you only get this bit. That's not really fair, because you booked based on all of this being part of the package. So I think they've done the right thing. I mean, whether or not this is a good change, I don't know. Let's see what is everybody saying here. Angela, heading to the Malia Punta Cana, leveled up. Interesting. Well, that'll be interesting to see what that's like. Has anyone been there? Angelo, have you been to the Malia? I'm not sure. We'll find out if anyone else has been. And if you have been, let us know. Hello, Roxanne. How are you? Roxanne actually did an interview with me about a month ago, I guess it was, that you were there. She was at Hyatt Vivid. And so, yeah, I did an interview with her and talked about what was going on at the hotel. Roxanne did the mixology class. She said that was a hoot. They had so much fun doing that. Remind me, was it Roger that was leading that class? I know he's so much fun. When I was there just for, 2 short nights or 3 days, they did a gastrobotany class. So they took us where the taco truck was. They took us down the stairs underneath the sort of Peter Pan, the wooden deck. And that's where they have a garden growing. And so they have lots of different herbs and spices, as well as, I think they had tomatoes and a few other things. And we went down there and we did we made a salad, and it also had some really funky fruit that I'd never heard of before. So it was really interesting. So that's one of the new activities that they have there. Good morning, Christine. How are you? Good to see you. I'm sure, Roxanne, you and Christine, I'm sure you've seen all the drama in the last 24 hours about Hyatt Vivid. So that's what we're talking about right now, is the rooftop pool will be Vantage Club only as of November 15th. But to clarify, that is for guests who book after November 15th. So Angela is saying, what about Dreams Jade? Oh, now Jade. Yeah. So I haven't been there recently, but I have stayed at it. I stayed at it when it was Now Jade. I've stayed at it 3 times, maybe 4. And it was, it's good. The beach is very, very hard packed, and a little bit rocky is the only thing I would say. It's a really nice resort. I've stayed in the regular section. I've also stayed in the preferred club. We stayed in a master suite the one time I was there, and yes, nice. I mean, it's Dreams, so you kind of know what to expect. You can see the restaurants online. You can see the menus for the restaurants online right now if you go into the Inclusive Collection by Hyatt app. It's a solid property. You could walk to town, but it was quite a hike into Puerto Morelos. You can get a taxi. It's easy enough. Roxanne saying Roger and Sophia and Israel, he was doing the drink baking. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Christine's, she's seen it. No, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, they're all part of the same chain. And look, we're just here to talk travel. So if you have questions about, and I love a tangent. So if there's anything else you want to talk about that's travel related, I'm all good. I'm just happy to have other people to talk about travel with, besides, driving my husband crazy, talking about stuff. Okay. So Bojangles is saying that the chair game. I think a lot of that depends on who's there, because from one week to the next, it can be totally different depending on what people are there. There's resorts that I've been to where, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, like the Rio Palace Paradise Island in the Bahamas, 9 o'clock in the morning. Granted, it was a little bit overcast, but 9 o'clock in the morning, and the hotel manager is walking around with a couple of the pool staff, and they're, inspecting the pool and stuff. And I'm the only one sitting out there. I got my book. I was probably following up on some messages or something. And he looks at me, he's like, good morning. And I'm like, hey, thanks for saving the pool for me. He kind of laughed, but there was no other guests. By 9:30, they started to trickle in. So I think it just depends. I think it depends a little bit on the resort. If they've got a disco, then odds are on that people are going to be up late and maybe sleeping in a little bit. And Roxanne saying a rule about after the second, when the second building is open. Yeah, so we're talking about the Hyatt Vivid. So when the Dreams Vivid is open, and they're co-located. It's going to be, I don't really know how they're going to do it, but it's not unlike Secrets Vallarta Bay and Dreams, whatever they're calling it these days. Those are co-located in Puerto Vallarta. They're attached in the middle. but you just have security standing there. And I mean, of course, with the Dreams, with Vivid, you're not going to have any wristbands that are going to denote which hotel you live in, but they're just going to ask for your room number. So that's probably how it's going to go. Apparently, that's what they're doing with the rooftop pool area these days, to indicate whether or not people are Vantage Club. But again, and I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, I know when you see security and they've got 4 or 5 pages of tiny print of every guest who's there, and because I'm me, of course, I've looked at these papers, and not like I'm flipping through them when the person's not around, but if she's looking at the paper, I'm looking at the paper. And, certainly back before I needed reading glasses, I could see this stuff. And you'll see, it'll say the room number, it'll say your name, and then it'll often say like VIP or travel agent, or special occasions can be indicated. So I think that's the sheet where they're going to say, like they'll probably put VC, like Vantage Club access, with an asterisk or something, so that they'll know, okay, well, you're not necessarily booked Vantage Club, but you booked before November 15th, so you have access to that rooftop pool. So that's kind of an interesting one, but we'll see on that. Usually early risers are the first ones up and down. Oh, okay, well, there you go. Yeah. So, and I mean, if you're up and you're out there and you're sitting there enjoying the chairs, it's not, then giddy up, right? What bugs me is when people get up at 7 a.m. or before 7 a.m. and they're reserving a chair, and then they go back to the room and they make a coffee, and then they go for breakfast, and then they go back to the room and they put on their bathing suit, and it's like 10:30, 11 by the time they come out to the pool. It's like, for me, by 11, I'm almost ready for okay, it's lunchtime. I'm ready to give up my chair and go for lunch. So I could have been enjoying that chair all that time. And then I go to leave, they take the chair, boom, everybody's happy. But that's just me. So yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I don't know if that's frustrating in regards to people, hug in the chairs for hours on end without using them or what, but yeah, it's kind of I don't know, just don't get me started today on that. It's been a roller coaster yesterday with the whole thing with Vivid. Now, what's kind of interesting is that they're also talking about saying that if you are not Vantage Club when you go and when they're going to allow you to use the rooftop pool, that you won't be able to access the Vantage Club amenities. And they specifically talked about 𝖨𝗇𝗒𝖾, the rooftop restaurant, that you wouldn't be able to go there for breakfast or lunch. Now, this is an interesting one because I mean, Angela, Roxanne, Christine, Angela, like any of you, do you remember, Deb, if you're watching, do you recall ever seeing them say anything about the rooftop restaurant, 𝖨유તુ𝖾, the Asian restaurant? Do you ever remember seeing them saying anything about that being open for breakfast? I certainly don't. And yeah, honestly, I think I know this resort better than some of the sales reps for this resort. But yeah, I don't remember seeing anything about that. So now there's some speculation about, will they move the Vantage Club breakfast from it being downstairs in the Mediterranean restaurant, which was very good, will that move to upstairs in the open air rooftop restaurant? Personally, I think, November, December, January, Cancun can be a bit chilly. So for me, that would be a hands down. I just wouldn't have breakfast up there because I don't want to sit there and be cold. I don't want to have to wear a sweatshirt to breakfast. So I would want to be inside. So for me, yeah, Roxanne doesn't remember this either. So, I mean, who knows? But it begs the question, right? If they're starting to make somewhat dramatic changes like this, then is anything else going to be changed? I mean, I get it, right? Like all the hotels are looking for, and we've talked about this before, everyone's looking for extra ways to increase their revenues. So I get it. If you book a regular room, you cannot go to these areas. If you book an upgraded room, then you can go to these upgraded areas. So it's a simple thing. You're paying a little bit more. And there's been a lot of talk as well about okay, that's a really good point. Stop changing the plan. I agree. I mean, I think it's great when a resort pivot. I've used that word so many times lately. I think it's great when they hear the feedback and they embrace it and they make changes accordingly. And maybe that's what they did. Maybe they heard too many people saying there's not enough value in upgrading to Vantage Club. Here's the thing. Like I looked back on the costs that we had, and it was a difference of $300 total for the week between. Now I booked January 10th, and I just booked a regular junior suite Bayview room. And then about a week later, I was like, what do you think? Like, I know I'm going to want to have an ocean view. So, January 20th, I think it was, or the 30th, I went back and I modified my reservation and I changed it to Vantage Club Ocean View. And, but it was, like I said, it was like maybe $300 difference in the price. So you just have to watch out for that. But we're also going to talk about Travel Tuesday coming up here. So we'll talk about that. Yeah, get the dream site open first. It was really interesting, Roxanne. I don't know if you tuned in last week, but I was saying that because of the hurricane, because Hurricane Milton was just off the coast and they weren't sure what was going to happen with that. Especially when it came really close to Merida, it was like, oh, okay, this might take a turn that is unexpected. So they removed a lot of the extra furniture and stuff like that. And you'll recall, and Angela, when you were there as well, in the sort of causeway between the two. So they got Dream side that they're building, and then they had the Hyatt Vivid side, which was done and opened. In the middle of the walkway that goes between those on the rooftop, they had a bunch of big planters and stuff like that kind of blocking it, so you couldn't go too close to the Dream side. So of course, you'll recall when I went live from there on I guess that would have been the 9th, I think, of October, so many years ago, that I went over and I was right at the Dream side because they moved everything out of the way. And so I was standing there and I'm live and I'm talking about the Vivid side and stuff like that. But before I went live, I kind of like poked around the corner and I could see into the rooms, and it was very clear, like a lot of the inside stuff hasn't been done. And those of us who've been know that the interiors, by and large, there's not a lot of finishing, right? So concrete, sort of industrial style, that is the look that they've gone for. Like I said, I'm okay with it. I think it works. Other people, not so much. But that's why we do these videos, right? You do the videos, you take a look, you go, oh, that's not my style, or that's fine. Anyways, peeking inside was like, yeah, they're a ways away still. And honestly, once it opens, then you've got that whole kid element, and what are they going to do with that? Are they going to allow, and you got to remember too, with Puerto Vallarta, they've been back and forth on that one a lot with Secrets Vallarta Bay. And can anybody tell me what is the name of the Dreams that's co-located beside it? I can't, it's obviously not Dreams Puerto Vallarta, but I cannot remember the name. And they did the same thing in Punta Mita with the Dreams and the Secrets there, where it was like, okay, yeah, if you're an adult but you're staying on the Dream side, yeah, of course you can come over to the Secret side. And then 6 months later, it was like, no, if you're an adult but you're staying on the Dream side, that's all you can do. If you're Secrets and you're an adult, you can go to both. And then it's like, oh no, if you're this, you can only stay on this side, and if you're this, you can only stay on the other thing. So it keeps changing. So it's a little bit confusing, that's for sure. But get that they were doing it. The roll up was not. Yeah. Yeah, well, it's something to learn from, right? Oh, is it? Is it just 𝖳tu𝖾li𝖾? Maybe that changed. So it's Secrets 𝖳tu𝖾li𝖾 and 𝖳tu𝖾li𝖾. Huh, it's very confusing. Oh, okay. Interesting. June. Oh, you're brave. Brave, brave, brave. June, I find that's really starting to get to be just too hot. And it was really hot when I was there last month. It was okay. I mean, certainly having the storm rolling in made for a bit of a change. But yeah. I typically upgrade if it's an option. I always find the perks worth it. Yeah. Rarely been disappointed with the amenities. Only room I've been not able to afford are the swim outs. You know what? I'm probably the only person. And I between doing the videos and selling travel, I have gotten free upgrades from time to time. And sometimes I've gotten swim up rooms. I'm not a fan. I'm just, I one of the things that I always do on vacation is I always sleep with my curtains open. And the rationale for that is that it's usually it's always a time difference. There's really nowhere that I could go that would be on my time zone. So whether it's just an hour or two different, or 4 hours in Punta Cana's case, I have the windows open so that, or the curtains open at least, so that when the sun comes up, it sort of gently wakes you. And I find it is a little bit better for getting used to the time change as well between destinations. So with the swim up room, not so much, because if you get up in the middle of the night and have to use the washroom and you're turning any lights on, like anybody who's outside, they can see right inside. So yeah, just from a privacy perspective, no. But that's just me. But yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, good point too. And some are also like a plunge pool kind of thing. Yeah, to the main pool. I'm trying to even think. Nothing's immediately coming to mind. I'll have to have a think on that one. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Higher level room. Absolutely. I mean, okay, so Hyatt Ziva Cancun, if you're in the turquoise tower, arguably the swim up rooms are on like level 4. So you have privacy looking out. Doesn't mean that other guests in other rooms aren't going to like walking by and seeing what's going on inside. So yeah. And I agree with Angela. You know what? If I was going to do a swim up pool, I would want it. I would want it to connect to the main pool. I mean, unless I'm there with a group of other people. So if I was to go with 2 or 3 other couples, and there was, it's like Hyatt Ziva Puerto Vallarta, where the preferred club rooms, I think there's maybe 8 rooms that are swim ups. And so then you kind of would have that whole pool area to yourselves. And you'll recall, of course, that they also have a little doorbell on the balcony. So if you fancy a drink and you don't see any of the waiters or servers walking around, you just take the steps up to your balcony or to your deck, and you hit the buzzer and they'll come over and get your drink order. I mean, it's very civilized, very civilized. Yeah, so I don't know. Let me know what you think. Is this, I guess, Roxanne, for you, if you're going to book Vantage Club anyways, maybe this would be considered a good thing. I don't know. It does beg the question, though. They have specifically said that they will not make the beach club Vantage Club only. But if I'm going to be completely honest, and I think it's a great brand. I think as a brand, as a chain, I think they're great. But now that they've made this change, it does make one question whether or not they'll make other changes like that. Who knows? Who knows? Angela's saying, yeah, exactly. Well, it's just like, so we just did a cruise to Mexican Riviera, so Cabo, Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta, and we were cruising with 2 other couples, and we didn't originally book side-by-side cabins because we couldn't. We only had 2, and then one was a couple down, and then we put in for an upgrade, and we ended up all side by side. So it was brilliant because we had massive balconies, enough that we could fit 6 of us with a table and chairs all in one section. So in somebody's section, we could sit all of us together. It was great. Get the cabin steward to open up the doors, and it's kind of like you've just got this extended balcony. So it was really great for, hanging out and having fun. Okay, so I think we've done this one to death, the Hyatt Vivid. So let's move on. Not a whole lot to chat about with the whole rain situation. We have just had torrential rain. Every roofing person that I know, every gutter cleaner that I know is booked solid. We've had so much rain with this, what do they used to call it? The Pineapple Express. Now it's an atmospheric river. But yeah, we've had days where we've had, okay, I'll see if I can do this. It was like 20 millimeters of rain in an hour, which is about an inch. Barcelona on Monday got about 150 millimeters of rain throughout the day, which is about 6 inches of rain. There was flooding everywhere. The whole area in Spain where they've had the flooding, it's horrific to see how much damage has occurred. They're talking about, the last thing I read was $31 billion worth of damage and destruction. Fortunately, the government has stepped in and they're providing aid right away. And it sounds like it's anywhere from 20,000 euros to 60,000 euros for people who've had flood damage to their homes. But yeah, on Monday, the airport was shut down, 100 flights canceled because the rain flooded out the entire airport. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. And I think, for sure here, and again, I'm in Vancouver, Canada, just 2 hours south of me is Seattle. So for perspective, and we've got more rain coming. Yeah, it's like the worst fall ever. But whatever, moving on. And then there's Hurricane Rafael has moved up to a level 2 hurricane, and that's heading towards Cuba, which obviously doesn't affect a lot of you Americans, but does affect a lot of Canadians who maybe are down there right now or were planning on going. A lot of flights have been canceled. Basically, it's supposed to hit today. So we'll see how it goes. Cuba's really struggled since COVID. They didn't have the best of hotels and resorts or food before COVID. But since COVID, they've really struggled to get supplies. And so there would be times when resorts wouldn't have like potatoes or butter or salt for like a week at a time. Forget about, fresh pool towels, that kind of thing. So it's by and large been a stop sell for most travel agents and agencies in Canada. And some of the like more, and you got to put it in perspective. I could say mid-range resorts, but mid-range when the top of the top is like a 3.5 star. So when I say mid-range, we're really talking like 1.5, 2 stars. But of course, what hotel is going to come out and say that? None. Because they're all 5 stars. Never mind. But hey, we're all 10s, right? As well. So, but they really struggled. And I think if the hurricane hits, with the last storm that hit with Milton going through, they lost power for a few days, if not longer, for a week. Some of the resorts. So it's, yeah. If you're Canadian and you're considering going to Cuba, this is maybe not the time to go. Not this month, not this year, but we'll see. We'll see. And then, okay, so now let's talk about something positive. Travel Tuesday. So we talked about this last year. It's one of these things. It's sort of like a holiday that if you say it enough times, it becomes a thing. It's like saying nuclear instead of saying nuclear, which is the word. But if you keep saying nuclear enough, then it becomes a word. And it's actually in the dictionary now as nuclear or nuclear. And so Travel Tuesday, same thing, came out in, I think it was 2018 or 2019. Oh yeah, Travel Tuesday, da, 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 da. Well, so there's two sides to that. One is it a thing? Or the flip side of that is, do travel agencies and tour operators and hotels and airlines and cruise lines, do they try to take advantage of this belief that there's specials going to happen and they run with it? You know, it's sort of like free marketing. All you have to do is like hashtag Travel Tuesday and people are going to be looking to see what you got. So 2023, actually, there were quite a few deals, surprisingly, not so much on hotels. And we'll talk about that more in a second. But definitely on flights, there were some deals, and there was some increase in cruise sales as well. So there's some promotions running with cruises. As far as people searching for destinations, the number one destination people were looking for on Travel Tuesday was Austin, Texas. Why? I'm sure it's a nice place, but why? Why Austin, Texas as the number one North American destination that people were seeking on Travel Tuesday? I don't know. Was there a big event going on? Was Taylor Swift having a concert? Like, why? Anyways, number two was NASA. Okay, that makes a little more sense to me. Number three was Punta Cana. Again, you know, still logical here. Number four was Cancun, and then it also went into a few other U.S. states. And so, you know, maybe it's just, I don't know, maybe these are well sought out destinations. I don't know. But it'll be interesting. So that is going to be, I believe so this will be Tuesday after Black Friday, after Small Business Saturday, and then so let me get my calendar. All right, yeah, it's easier on here. So that will be, 29th of November, Friday, 29th of November, right after American Thanksgiving is Black Friday. Small Business Saturday is Saturday, November 30th. Nothing happening on December 1st other than countdown to Christmas. December 2nd is Cyber Monday. So again, you're going to see lots of Amazon deals, big box store deals, that kind of thing. Not Costco, but everybody else. And then December 3rd is going to be Travel Tuesday. So it might be worth, I mean, definitely, especially, you know, in my community post the other day, I posed the question of whether or not people were going away for spring break and if they hadn't booked it yet. Folks, that is your window. If you do not book on that weekend, I will safely say, hand on heart, that you will pay far more than you ever should, because everybody else is already booked. So it's just a supply and demand situation. So definitely, if you've got some travel plans or even some loosey-goosey travel plans, if you're thinking of some place on the horizon and you intend to book it in such a way that you can cancel, that's a really good weekend to do so. So if you were to book, you know, obviously I would recommend booking through a travel agent, but if you book direct or if you get them to book direct, the cancellation policies are usually pretty good with a lot of the hotels. And if you're booking a flight and you're booking in higher level of fare, then again, you can also see some better cancellation, or at least ability to make changes. So that is definitely the weekend to do so. You know, for sure, Rio resorts, Hyatt resorts, any of those have really good cancellation policies. So, those are some good windows. So if you're thinking, hey, maybe I do want to go to the Rio Palace Paradise Island so I don't have to fight for a chair in the morning, then that weekend is when you probably want to take a look at prices. And even if you're booking for next November, right? Because typically for hotels, they will at least have the entire next year's calendar available. They may not have prices into the following January. Oh my gosh, that'd be 2026. I remember when it was turning to the year 2000 and we were all like, well, how do you even say that? Because it's 97, it's 98, 99, and now it's what, 00, 00? Like, what do we call it? But anyways, yeah, coming up to 2026 in just over a year's time. But you can book so far ahead with these things. And if it's got cancellation up to day of arrival or a week, even if it's a week before, even if it's a month before, plenty of time for life to happen and to make changes. But you could probably potentially get some really cool deals. I did watch a video from Coolest, who, it was a bit of a clickbait kind of title because it was all about how he gets such great deals. I'm like, dude, you've got 100, or no, I think he's got 300,000 followers. He posts a video of a palm tree and he's going to get 30,000 views. So I would say by and large, he's not paying for any of his hotel rooms. And either way, as a YouTuber, he's probably making at least $15,000 a month. He can afford to pay whatever he's paying. But for the rest of us humans, taking advantage of some of these deals is just a smart move. So yeah. I mean, I kind of like his sort of freestyle way of filming, but I don't know, it's just a different style. I prefer to say, this is what the resort's like. You might like it, you might not like it, and just, this is what it is. Whereas he's more like, this resort sucks because this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, but I guess, I mean, it's all we're ever expressing is our own opinions. So, you agree or you disagree. I don't know. But I did want to go back to talking about the Travel Tuesday and the hotels, and the fact that last year there didn't appear to be a lot of smashing hotel deals. We are starting to see a leveling off. It was like supply and demand was here. And what's happened now is that there's been so many hotels that are being built that's bringing this up. And also, people have gotten travel sort of out of their system since COVID. So the demand isn't up here. It's, it's dropping down a little bit. So with increased capacity or inventory of hotel rooms in different destinations, and then decreased appetite for travel, or certainly, like not just hot sun, easy to get to destinations. People are, doing Europe, and they're doing river cruises, and they're going to Australia, and, all kinds of stuff. So, and Tahiti, there's been a lot of really good deals on flights to Tahiti in the South Pacific. So if that's something that's on your bucket list, folks, start taking a look at that, because, and especially, flying via Hawaii. So that's kind of a 2 for vacation, hit Hawaii up, and then, or just touch down in Hawaii and then sail down to the South Pacific. And then on your way back, spend 2 or 3 nights in Hawaii, a week, whatever, and enjoy that. It's a great way to travel. But some really good deals there. But as I say, we are starting to see a leveling off in certainly beach resort, especially all-inclusive pricing, which is good, because quite frankly, seeing mid-range hotels for $400 American a night it's a bit rich. It's getting a bit crazy. And whereas we did the price comparison a couple of months ago, remember, and it was Hyatt Ziva and Zolara Cap Cana in Punta Cana was, I think, $1,100 per room per night, and that's a lead-in room. So the basic room. So yeah, interesting for sure. So that's all my topics. Angela, unless you've got any other questions about other resorts, feel free to post them. Post your questions, and we can all chip in. What do I have coming up next? Next thing for me is January with an Explorer cruise hitting the Caribbean. So I'm quite curious to see what that's going to be like. It's very much luxury cruising. So like all the booze is included, all the gourmet meals are included. I don't think excursions are included, but I mean, we're going to like Guadeloupe and St. Kitts, and we'll be in St. Martin, but we're on a tender into Marigot. So we're on the French side. I haven't decided yet if I want to hop in a taxi and head over to Maho Beach. That's the famous airport where you see the people that are holding onto the chain link fence as well, it used to be the KLM. Was it the 777 used to take off from there? And people would literally be holding onto the fence, and they would almost to the point where they would like have their feet off the ground. Also really stupid because, you sort of don't necessarily think about these things, but there's a strip of about 50 feet where you're in the sort of jet blast area. And if people are in the way, or if you're in a vehicle and somebody stopped to take a picture, like there's signs that say you're not allowed to stop, especially when there's a plane taking off, because the jet wash is so bad. Your car is literally going to need a paint job afterwards. And if you're walking along, it's like, we've seen people who are standing there trying to take pictures. First off, their screens, unless you had a screen cover over top, like you've probably trashed your camera. And then we'd see people that would just go like tumbleweeds into the ocean. It was absolutely hilarious. Okay, we have some comments here. I'm talking about travel. Same thing. Do the same thing out of ease. Yep. Straight flights to Cancun, Dominican, limited on Jamaica. Don't really cruise. Never been on flights longer than 4 hours. Oh, wow. I mean, for me, it's like 4 hours just to get to Cabo or Puerto Vallarta is 4.5 hours. Vegas is like 2.5, 3 hours from here. Cancun, 6.5, 7, depending on the prevailing winds. London, 8.5. So yeah, we spend a lot of time in the air from here. Oh, okay. Yeah, so yeah, it helps when you live really close for sure. And now everybody knows where every state is because of the election last night, right? Which state is that? Where is that located? I suck at geography. I freely admit that. Also math, so I'm dually incompetent. But oh well, that's why there's calculators in Google. But yeah. So yeah, that's my plans coming up. But yeah. So I'm going to leave it at that. Angelo, if you're still watching, hope you're enjoying Punta Cana and Secrets Tides for sure. Have fun on your activities this afternoon. What was it? You doing the zip line this afternoon? Nice. Well, and what time is it now? 2 o'clock. So he's probably already left. He's probably doing that. But if you're watching later, let me know. Get in touch if you would like to join me next week or the following Wednesday. Would love to have you on the broadcast, and everyone can ask any questions that they have of you for the different resorts that you're at in Punta Cana. Oh, hello, Proc. How are you? Been a while. Proc saying, curious to know all-inclusive stays that did not have a good experience and how you handled it. Oh, well, That's an interesting question. How honest do I want to be? Okay, so 𝖪𝗇𝗒𝖾 resorts. 𝖪유tu𝖾 resorts are great. Got married at one in Veradero. Actually got married in Veradero, Cuba. And had a great time. You know, it wasn't a 5-star hotel. It was nice, you know, fit the bill. Haven't stayed at any of the 𝖪유tuls in Cancun. Did go to stay at the 𝖪유 in Puerto Vallarta, and it was booked in for 2 nights. After the first night, I checked out. And it was, and they asked me, and okay, I'm going to tell you, this was like 15 years ago. So if you've booked to go to this property, or if you're curious about going to this property, a lot of this has probably changed. They did ask my feedback why I was checking out early, and I wrote it all down. Then I asked for another piece of paper because I had more stuff to write down. So here's the thing. So the rooms were very modern, or not modern, but had been freshly remodeled. So the rooms were quite nice, like a lot of marble and stuff like that. I really liked the layout of the room. What I didn't like is there were no plugins beside the bed. And so for me, when I'm traveling, my phone is my lifeline. And also, as a single female traveler, I want to have that charged so that if something happens in the middle of the night, I can call the front desk or whatever. I mean, yes, I can also use the telephone. But I've got my flashlight, I've got, you know, everything I need. And there was no plugins beside the bed, so I couldn't charge my phone. And of course, you know, those of you who know me know I've got battery anxiety, and I'm filming constantly. You know, I've got like over 15,000 photos and videos on my phone. I don't know, I think it's just 15,000 photos plus videos. So, and there's nothing you could do on your phone that will burn the battery faster than doing a video. So I wasn't happy about having to charge my room, having the phone across the room when I was charging it. The breakfast buffet did not have a lot on offer. And look, that could be said for a lot of different resorts. Dreams Puerto Vallarta, lovely resort, nice options, but just not a lot of options for the breakfast buffet. But yeah, at the 𝖪유, I walked around the buffet like 3 times, and then eventually I think I got a bagel or something. And the table that I'd been given, right? We all do the same thing, right? We put our sunglasses down. I had a couple of brochures that I was planning on looking at. And when I came back to my seat, somebody was sitting there, and the server the person who had sat me was there offering them coffee. So, and I'm standing there, and they're kind of like ignoring me. So I like reached around the server and between the 2 ladies, grabbed my sunglasses, reached in again. Like I was just being, you know, passive aggressive, whatever, but I was annoyed, to say the least. Grabbed my brochures, and I just turned around and picked a table and sat down and ate my bagel. And is that a reflection of the hotel? Not really. It's more of a reflection of the people who would just sit down at a table that very clearly is already occupied. I mean, did they think, oh, what a great resort, they leave sunglasses on the table for you to use? I don't know. But this is the first time I've spoken about it publicly. And the only reason I'm speaking about it is because I did very concisely write out all of my frustrations and concerns and gave those to management. And not a whole lot else you can do. I mean, there's been other resorts that I've stayed at where the memories in Grand Bahama, which has been torn down years ago, it was a Sunwing property, and Memories Grand Bahama. And I'd read on reviews and stuff ahead of time that one of their big scammy things was that you would, whatever room category you'd booked, if you booked Ocean View, they would somehow just give you a garden view room and then be like, oh no, sorry, that's the right room category, blah, blah, blah. And so we decided to decline we had an air and hotel package. So we had the transfers included. I said, no, let's get ahead of this group of, people, because there's only 2 all-inclusive resorts. So everybody was going to one or the other. We wanted to get there, get checked in before the big lineup of people. So sure enough, we got a taxi, got to the resort, got our room key, went to the room, opened up the door, and it was like, this is so not ocean view. I mean, it was not even a decent garden view. Whatever the lead-in room category was, like the most basic room, that's what they gave us. And I went back to the room, to the front desk, and I just said, look, like, you gave us the wrong room category. I paid for ocean view. And they kind of were like, oh, no, that's gotta, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes the views are a bit different. I said, no. And then they moved us eventually. But the worst hotel that I've ever stayed at in my life was the, what was it? The Sunset Jamaica Grand, which all my friends know I refer to it now as the Sunset Jamaica Not So Grand. It was awful. It was the inaugural direct nonstop flight from Vancouver to Jamaica, to Montego Bay, Jamaica. Flew in and got to the resort late at night. And we walked in. The room was moldy. The balcony door, the building had shifted or something. And so the wall was like this and the balcony door was like this. So there's this like gap that, from the top down. There was mold on the hangers in the closet, where there was supposed to have been tissue, in the console in the bathroom. They'll have a unit where they'll have tissues sticking out. There was no tissues. There's a used lighter in there. It was just like, it was awful. And it was damp because the room couldn't shut and the air conditioning was on. So of course that causes the moisture in the air to condense. So the sheets were damp. The door had a lock to it, but it was like a door handle lock, like kind of what you would have on your bathroom door, but no like deadbolt or anything. So we went to the front desk and we were like, no, man, seriously, like, you need to get us somewhere else. Oh, sorry, we're sold out. The usual garbage story. And so my husband's like, okay, well, let's go drink till the room looks better. So we went and had a few drinks. Really great bartender. Had a nice chat and stuff like that. Went back to the room. We ended up sleeping on towels because the bedding was damp. And the next day, there was 6 couples from the plane that had got to the hotel. And there was one woman and her daughter. They were the only ones who thought that the resort was good. Oh, we went to the buffet that night for dinner because it was the only thing that was open. And it was, the dinner buffet had like, I want to say 11 items on it. And that included the 3 vegetable medley. So take away the 3 vegetable medley. Now you have 8 items at the buffet. It was nuts. And you could just see, you kind of recognize people from the plane, and their body language was kind of like, it wasn't like, oh yeah, oh well, we're here for the orientation. Remember when they used to do orientations and try to sell you tours and stuff like that? So, okay, no. It was like, where are they? Well, we're not staying in this room. No, I'm not staying in this room. No, I said we were not. It was just like everybody's bickering. It was just awful. And eventually, we were not able to change hotels, but we were able to change rooms. I did have to play the travel agent card, unfortunately. So, Proc, to answer your question, sometimes if it's bad enough, you either have to get your travel agent involved. And I've called from Canada. I have called Mexico before and said, you got to fix this. My client is in room, blah, blah, blah. And you've got construction going on down the hallway and they're not happy because it's all day long. You need to move them. And they like, yeah, we'll send somebody to the room within an hour. And then 45 minutes later, I'm getting a text saying, thank you so much for fixing this. But it's either that or social media, which is really sad. Like, you shouldn't have to threaten them with this stuff, but it's really the only way sometimes to get stuff accomplished and to get it resolved. You can't stay in a room that's moldy. You can't stay in a room that's not secure. You can't stay in a room that is not functioning. I once had to spend a night in a room, ground floor walkout room, right in Playa del Carmen, where the balcony door wouldn't lock. Single woman traveling on her own. This is fabulous. And there was no option. Everything was sold out. I stayed in the room. Nothing happened. Fortunately, I think I must have 18 lives or something, because I don't know. But, sometimes you got to throw money at the problem. Sometimes you got to escalate. Mostly, if you, and just because they've given you a bad room to start doesn't mean that you're entitled to compensation or an upgrade or anything like that. You just need to get what you paid for. And I have found that they are most willing to comply with your request or your demands when you approach it in a matter-of-fact way and you're polite about it. It's not their fault. They're just doing their job. And they don't know what the condition of the rooms are, that kind of thing. Like they're just sitting on their computer all day long. It's not like on my break, I'm going to go check out what room 8004 looks like. They don't know. So, no, yeah, those are my tips on that one. Bojangles is asking what's on the agenda for next week. We are going to wait and see what's happening in the world of travel. And not anything in particular, unless you have something you want to suggest. I'm always up for suggestions. Terrible experience at the Hard Rock Hotel Ibiza. Well, now, was that because of the other guests or just a bad experience at the hotel? That would be my question. I know Ibiza's had such issues with over-tourism, hence, putting in liquor restrictions and stuff like that. So I'd be curious to hear about that one. Feel free to email me separate if you want to chat about that one. And Bojangles, you know how to reach me. Just put a comment on any video. It is, I will say, it's very difficult to go back into these comments later, because of the way it does the comments on a live video. It's almost like a real-time viewing situation. So if you have comments about any of the stuff we've talked about and that you want to or a suggestion of topics to cover or a question about a hotel or something, pretty much comment on any of my other videos, not a live video. Or if you comment after it's finished, then I will then it keeps the comments totally separate. It's just a weird YouTube thing, but I don't know. Pronk is saying it was to do with the hotel. Interesting. Yeah. Well, even within the chains, there can be some properties that are great and others that are not great. Saying, ew. Oh, no. Yeah, see, I mean, that's a biohazard. So that's like, yeah, time to get a new room. Yeah. And, sometimes with housekeeping, right, they're supposed to have their supervisor come around and inspect all of the rooms that are finished before they are put out for reassignment by the front desk. But, everybody's human. Sometimes people make mistakes. Stuff gets missed. It happens. So, yeah. Angela is saying, we used to stay at the Princess Resort many years ago, 2022. It was awful. Don't go back. Well, there's that too. I mean, what's the saying? Like, fool me once, it's that's on me. Fool me twice. Yeah. If the resort doesn't have it together, then again, sometimes a management change or stuff can just, different staff comes in and things start to be run better. New management, whatever. New management, property management is another thing that can make a big difference. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up for now because I've taken up enough of your day. But thank you for joining me and having a lovely chat about travel. Really enjoyed it today. Well, always enjoy it, but it was particularly enjoyable today chatting with all of you about your experiences and stuff like that and hearing what you think about these changes at the Hyatt and whether or not you're happy with them or not. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you got to know that if you're going to Riu, that is like it's a party hotel, like not a Riu Palace. But if you're going to a regular Riu, then there's not a lot of limitations on the drinking at those properties. That's for sure. So you can have fun, but sometimes you can have too much fun. And sometimes it's not nice to watch either. Good people watching, I guess, though. So thanks again for tuning in. Hope you have a great week. And we'll be back same time next week, Wednesday. So hopefully we'll see you then. I will try to, by Sunday or Monday at the latest, have the video link out and also the description of the topics for the week. But like I say, if you have any other suggestions, always open ears about chatting about different stuff. Anything travel is always good. So thanks for tuning in. Have a great week, an even better weekend, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye for now.